Welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. Now, it is human nature where we all want to fit in, and fitting in can kind of come in a lot of various shapes and sizes and point of context. So let me introduce you to Brian. Brian and I were classmates when we were in the 7th grade. Not that I was any great athlete, but I had a little bit more athletic ability than Brian. Brian was he was probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but he was not athletic, but he was very studious, but he had the heart the size of Montana. And even in the 7th grade, we always rooted for Brian, but sometimes when you get around the schoolyard bullies, they always kind of had fun with Brian because he just didn't really fit into their circle. So this one afternoon, actually it was lunchtime, and after all of us guys in the 7th grade ate our lunch, we would put together like 5 or 6 milk cartons within one, and then we'd go out to the football field and we would play tackle the guy with the milk carton. So Brian wanted to fit in, so Brian was always kind of on the exterior and not really get into where the guys were getting tackled, getting hit, and all this kind of stuff. But all of a sudden, one afternoon, the milk carton landed in Brian's hand, and all of a sudden now he had no idea what to do because he's never been part of the game where he actually had the milk carton in his hand. And then all of a sudden it was like the sharks came out, and all of a sudden this one particular shark, Randy, he was really the lead bully at lunchtime and in the schoolyard. He saw Brian. He goes, "Oh my God, here's the chance." You could just see in his eyes that he was going after Brian. And Brian took off, and I've never seen anybody run so fast because he was really literally scared to death. And Randy, much faster, much stronger, was chasing after him. It's now just him and Brian. And Brian was running away from the pack, so no one could help Brian. So it was like that rabbit being chased by the coyote. And Randy was getting closer and closer. And then as Randy was about ready to just pummel Brian saw his out. There was an old wooden bench that the football team would sit on during the games. And this wooden bench was old. It had, splinters everywhere. Well, sure enough, right when Randy was about ready to tackle Brian jumped over this hurdle. And because Randy was so close, he did not see it. And all of a sudden, the bench just took Randy out right at his knees, and Randy started sliding down the whole front of this bench. Randy gets up screaming. His whole shirt is just ripped to shreds. There's blood everywhere. Brian was alive. Randy met his match, but Brian never showed up again. And I say this because, so badly did Brian want to fit in, it turned out not only bad for him, but it turned out for Randy as well. And to this day, I think probably Brian still has nightmares of being chased because he knew that he was going to get pummeled. And I think afterwards, Randy even retaliated, whatever time later against Brian on something else because he just had to pay Brian back. There was no way this guy was going to get out, outwit him. But then you look at another way of not fitting in. It's when, people are together and they just don't quite stay connected. And all of a sudden you start to hear, we just don't talk anymore. Typically that comes from spouses or from, partners that have just maybe been together a little bit too long, and they're just running out of things to say, or they just lost interest, something like that. But now let's put these two stories into context in the workplace. There's a lot of misery out there, and I know that one of the things I hear because of the misery between employees and managers, employees and owners, is that, not only don't they talk anymore, they just never talked in the first place, and they really felt disconnected. Well, today we're going to talk about how to maybe not so much just improve on communication, which is always ideal, but we're going to talk about really getting back connected. And we're going to give you some really cool tools. We're going into the garden shed. And we're going to bring out some really cool tools, but we're actually going to give you the tools and some instructions on how to use these tools. So joining me today is Anja Zibert. Anja, welcome and thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
And in case people don't understand, you might think of Anja's accent as being like from the South, like Alabama or Mississippi, but she's not from the States. Anja, where are you from?
Yeah, we're going to be using European tools. So I'm from Slovenia, Europe.
All right. So we have to put it into metrics and not into inches and feet any longer. Okay, that's fair enough. All right. So Anja, she's the founder of Free Spirit Human Capital, which you got to just love the name. She's a global HR disruptor, and we're going to get into really what that means in a little bit. But before we do, Anja, do you have any other things that you would like to introduce yourself on?
Well, we're going to talk about what disruptor means, but maybe just in few words. I used to be a headhunter in a recruitment agency. Today, I'm a heart hunter. So, we can stop here and then we can continue in a few more moments.
Well, I'm looking forward to this because we've had a lot of good conversations regarding what you do, being an HR disruptor, but really helping individuals, helping teams, helping organizations, not just communicate, get better, but get along better, but really get connected. There's one thing about going to work and, being vanilla, not feeling really good, not feeling really bad. But, if you're going to spend a whole career doing something around people, for at least a 30-year day, if not longer in most industries, you might as well not just get along, but, feel more connected than just being colleagues and coworkers. So with that being said, I know the question that everybody's heard so far is HR disruptor. What is an HR disruptor and why is it really imperative today?
Yeah, like if you disrupt something, you challenge status quo, yeah, and you are improving, something. You have the purpose to improve something or to do it something differently. And what I decided is I want to disrupt with heart energy. I want to disrupt with deeper level of human communication, especially in HR and in working environment. And I could call myself a positive disruptor. I like to shock people in a positive way.
Fair enough. So why today? Why is it more necessary to disrupt, like you said, the status quo and really change the rules, change the boundaries, and really change the new normal that really evolved from the old normal?
Okay. Yeah, maybe let's start with some statistic. I actually found information. I don't know if it's like completely fresh, but Gallup has this research, made research, and it's said that it's 36% globally, people, they are 36% its engagement level. So that means what? 60, I'm really bad at math, by the way, like 65% people, they're not engaged. They don't see a purpose. They don't see a meaning of what they do. They don't feel that passion in what they do. So I would say that's a pretty, that's information. That's something that it's worth investigating what is going on. So when I was working in a recruitment agency, of course, I was meeting people. I was working also with different companies. And already then I saw that disconnection, that on one side, there was some expectation, and on the other side, there were expectation, but nobody really connected them. And they were just put together because of money. And then, now you have to do something together. Well, it's not exactly like that. When I founded my company, I'm empowering people on one side, and I'm like creating this psychological safe environment, to discover like within them, like their talents, and also to, I would say also, be aware of their expert knowledge. Because some people, they just take it for granted what they actually know, like their expertise and the way of mindset, like the way they are thinking. So I'm helping people to get empowered on one side, and on another side, I'm also helping companies, to recognize their values. And values are usually owners' values, like the owner of the company and the leaders of the company. Like values, they are brought from top down. It needs to be like that, because it has to be, when companies are looking for people, it needs to be a match on that level. But you cannot do anything. You cannot do connection that really lasts if they are not deep connections. So I'm stepping into this play field. I call it like playground, not a battlefield, not even close. With this paradigm. So it's about human relations, not human resources. And it's about deeper connection, not connection on surface and, just based on work experiences.
So, you're talking about connections, and our very first conversation that has led into many others has always been about these connections. And you made a comment the very first time that we ever talked about how we're all connected by default.
By default, yeah.
Tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah, there are two perspectives that I'm usually explaining. So one perspective is, you look around, you see all these people, their societies, their groups, like we are the world. And now we have social media. And through social media, actually, like it's all based on research, like first of all, it was 6 degrees of separation. So that means that every single person in the world is connected to any other person in the world by 6 contacts. But now, because of Facebook, because of all, other social media that we have, it's actually 3.5 contacts. So we definitely are connected, in this, like society, the world, And the other perspective is that we are all connected by default by energy, because we are energy beings and we are all interconnected. So living and non-living things, they're all connected by energy. And from this perspective, you could also take a lot of wisdom, to use in business, in HR. And this is what I do. I'm actually connecting both sides.
So I've always termed you as Switzerland. Because too many times we have, like Randy, we have the bullies, the owners and managers who really don't have that empathetic nature, and so they lead by that authoritarian rule, and then the frontline employee can either retaliate that way or surrender, which unfortunately, if someone really needs a job bad enough, that's what they end up doing. It was just surrendering. And so put your Swiss hat on, your coaching hat, and tell us how this really applies, needing someone with that neutral tone. Why is it really necessary today in the business community and within the organization itself?
Yeah. This is really good, what you said. So it's like the neutral position, because HR in companies, it's usually not in neutral position, and it should be. Yeah, like HR department should be Switzerland, because there are always different perspectives. Like you have to understand perspective, from employees, because they are put in a submissive position, and it's like, oh, this is the only way that you can work. But it's not exactly like that. And on the other side, it's also, employees see this, I don't know, like narcissistic or like, I would say very, what's the word that you said? Authority, like with,
authoritarian.
How do you say it? Yeah, authoritarian leader, on top. So they are actually, radiating very negative emotions towards that. So basically, you have to look from different perspective. Why is this people like, why are these people up there, acting the way they are? and what is in reality, what is going on below. But I really don't want to use this pyramid structure, so it's like below on top, but it's, I would say, like on different levels. Yeah. And what I always say, that whenever somebody starts working together, they need to exchange their user manuals. So I'm really, really, I say, like, I'm really encouraging companies to write their own manifestos. Manifestos is like a document. It's like an energy contract where they can put the rules, how they want to behave, how they want to act, how they want to, help each other, like how they want to react in different situations. So, the company gives manifesto, and then the employer says, okay, like, is this something that I really, is aligned with me? Is this something that I really want to do? And this is one way that they can exchange this user manuals, because everybody had their own expectations. We're gonna touch dreams a little bit later, but the thing is that everybody, they have their own goals. And if the goals are not aligned at the beginning, and it's on this deeper level of connections, when there is authenticity, where there is transparency and honesty, then yeah, it's not gonna last. I can guarantee you that.
All right. So before you leave the boundaries of Switzerland, let's go to the garden shed. Let's grab some tools. So with your coaching hat still on, your HR disruptor hat still on, let's talk about some of your solutions that I think are very, very viable here.
Mm. Well, first of all, in recruitment, yeah, because usually I'm really I'm focused on recruitment. I also help like one startup, to set the culture, the heart-based culture, heart-centered culture. And when I was doing recruitment there, so when I was talking to people, first contact was usually me, because it's like an energy fit, or like, I would say, pre-screening call, but energy fit pre-screening call. Yeah. When I got in contact with them, and these were AI experts, these were like, developers, like very, very intelligent and skilled people. I had no idea about programming or, like AI in that depth. But the thing is that we are all human beings. So when I started talking to them, I just like really on this human level, I asked them, so what do you think? Like, how do you feel when you feel the word purpose? Yeah. And for example, what kind of imprint would you like to leave behind? Like, what kind of story would you like to leave behind? Because you are here to leave an imprint in the world. What is your story? What are your goals? Like on this really, really human level. And for example, one is it's quite fun sometimes, and I mean most of the time, because I I make it fun. But if you're talking to an expert and you have absolutely no idea, what they are doing, because you are not an expert, and sometimes they really don't know how to communicate on this level, so they could, that could explain in very understandable way. You just ask it, look, pretend that I'm a 5-year-old child. Just, try to tell me in a few simple sentences, what is it that you are doing? And what is it that you want to achieve? How can we support you with that? Yeah. So stuff like that. And when you start talking to people like that, everything changes. Like, you create this environment, this energy field where people give you much more information that you maybe initially expected, because when there is trust, transparency, and this honest communication, magic can happen. And of course, that you are not putting yourself also in this superior position. And I'm really good at that, because I see all human on the same level. I don't care if I'm talking to a millionaire or if I'm talking to janitor, so this really helps me with what I do.
But there is a huge worldly difference between that millionaire, the boss, the manager, and their frontline employee, the janitor. You know, and you and I have both read the book, The Dream Manager. You know, it's a fictional story, but boy, it really opens your eyes to a better world, a better place, a safe place. But more, it's it's a book about really connecting each and every individual part of that team, that organization. And I know you and I are planning on doing future podcasts regarding the Dream Manager, but why don't you tell us from an HR disruptor's point of view that really is really right there in the middle of Switzerland? What is the premise and the purpose behind the Dream Manager?
Well, it's all about dreams. It's all about making dreams, helping, how to say, helping to realize, employees' dreams, and like to share this awareness that everyone has dreams. Yeah. And the Dream Manager really had huge impact on me because this is already what I'm doing. It's just it was written so beautifully, and into like in a way, in a story. And it's shown in a corporate environment, which was really mind-blowing how it was all presented, but we're gonna talk about that at some other time. What I wanted to, for example, here, like to show connection with an HR is, an HR person is there to be a bridge between the business, and the engagement of the people. And engagement of the people, it's not on surface, it's inside. So the HR manager or professional, whatever, needs to be skilled and needs to be able to reach into that, depth, like to that level, like with questions, or like there are a lot of different things, or only with the energy. So it's like the energy, hey, we care about you. And they don't have to give prices, or like a lot of money. And because I see that, like, a lot of companies, they're giving a lot of prizes, a lot of money, but they don't have soul. But when people are feeling this soul level, then they are ready to make compromises and and compensate a lot of things. But the thing about Dream Manager is that it's making, it's showing what's possible. And if you really care about your people, they're gonna care about you, period.
And I think that's where that human connection has been lost, because I know growing up, my parents were both very elderly when I was born, and I got a chance to experience the good old days, the good old fashioned values where people were treated like people, and they knew a lot of things about each other, from the boss on down to the frontline employees to all the frontline employees. They knew what everybody's lives were about, what their dreams were, what their goals were. And, they might not have had a program in place to help them achieve, but at least they had that connection to where it wasn't just the owner's dreams that everybody was, bound by. It was also that each and every individual that worked there had their own dreams as well. And a lot of times their dreams did kind of align with what the company's dreams were. But at the other times, they were individuals having a safe space to say, here's what my dreams are too. I do have dreams, even though I might be the housekeeper, the secretary, whatever like that. They still had their own dreams that they wanted to achieve somewhere in their lives. And I think that over time, being the boss, either the owner or the manager, has turned into where, as you talked about, that hierarchical schedule there, that all of a sudden that if you're down below me, you don't really matter other than what you produce every day. And that becomes old, it becomes robotic, and no one on this earth was naturally born to be a robot.
To be a human doing. No,
exactly.
We are human
doing.
beings.
Yes. I love that. And that's a great way of saying it. And so from an HR disruptor's point of view, that's still coming from Switzerland via Slovenia, what are some of the results, the real positive results that can be achieved by having this more human being connection and not a human doing connection?
Okay. Yeah, what I see is that, first of all, it's about awareness. Yeah, the company needs to adopt, this awareness about interconnectedness, and that we really are on the same level. We're just playing different roles. Yeah. So when companies are taking care of their people, and it was very interesting because yesterday I was speaking at this event, an HR event. There was a lot of HR professionals there. And at some point, one of my friends, he said, when we had this conversation, he said, yeah, but we don't want that companies turn to, adult daycare, So basically that, companies would be just taking care of adult as children and giving them everything, sorry. So they would feel good, but they will not provide like maximum results. And as a neutral, HR disruptor, from neutral point of view, is that you need to take care, and not take care, you need to make sure that there is a personal accountability, that every single person, they know why they are there. And, when they will identify with that personal accountability, and when they will have that worth, okay, I'm here, I'm very valuable for a company, because without me, this will not be possible. So it doesn't matter if it's, it's not only the sales department most important, or I don't know, like production or whatever, it's everything, like when you put together. And what I see here is that, like, all this concept, the whole concept, it can really, really benefit the recruitment and the sales process. Why? Because, also it was shown in Dream Manager, every single employee can become the best salesperson and the best recruiter. And you can just imagine how much money companies can save with that kind of approach, and this is just one, benefit or like advantage or whatever. But there's so many more. There are so many more, because people, when they feel safe also in environment, they are supporting each other. The connection, like this, I say like energy alignment, is much faster. And yeah, we can also touch this topic because I'm a Heart Math Institute trainer, and I know what kind of effect the feeling of gratitude and appreciation, and this positive energy, like positive feelings, like heart values and heart energy, like all these things, they have really, really big effect on productivity. And how people are focused, how people they think, how they work. Because if you think about it, like you have fear-based environment and you have heart-based environment, or like love or appreciation, whatever, like positive, working environment. I'm pretty sure you can see where is like a larger level of productivity. Of course, if there is personal accountability, if everybody is aware why they are there and what they are contributing, and they are supported with that.
Well, I knew this was going to be a good podcast, and I can't thank you enough for sharing all your wise words of wisdom here. And before we go, though, I want you to leave us with one little bit of nugget from Anja, the HR disruptor in Switzerland via Slovenia.
Yeah, I have two messages actually. Like, one is for people who are looking or who are feeling, that they need a change, especially in their career. I would just say that your past working experiences really do not define you. what defines you, is who you are at this very moment and who you believe you can become. And I'm also helping, people to put that in reality, because I really believe that a lot of things is possible, that a lot of people, they say it's impossible. And for companies, it's just an unwritten, I will take that also from Dream Manager. There is an unwritten contract between companies and employees. And that is that, employees are there to provide extra added value, to the existence of the company. And on the other side, the company is there to provide extra value to the life of employees. So every, employee and every company should ask themselves, is it really like that? Like they are really playing by these rules, and we should maybe end with this.
Perfect. Well, that was well said, and the encouragement is necessary to a lot of us. So, Anja, how can someone, if they want to reach out to learn more about you and your services, how could they get in touch with you?
Okay. Lately I've been invited to a lot of platforms. So first of all, I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. So everyone can connect with me on LinkedIn. And also I have Pick My Brain profile, where they can book 30 minutes of my time, to pick my brain. And then I also have my website, which is freespirithc.com. There's also a YouTube channel where a lot is going on and a lot will be going on. But most of all, it's I'm just really trying to empower, both sides. So empower people on one side, so they really are aware of their own worth and their own value. And companies on the other side, that it doesn't have to be that hard. I really don't believe that there's a battle for talent, You just have to go on this deeper level, because they are so the field of solution is so bigger that they can imagine. And also I really would like, to add to your story that you started in the beginning, fitting in. It's everybody needs to realize, if you fit somewhere, that doesn't mean that you belong there.
Well said. Well, Anja, thank you again. And I know that we'll be doing other podcasts together. So thank you again.
Great. I'm very looking forward to. Greetings from Slovenia.
My podcast wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for my sponsors and my great supporters. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. First of all, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. Dave and Dara at Virtues Matter, making this world a much happier place to be with their Virtues card apps, coaching, and workshops. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at IvyCat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. Jennifer and Jean at the Sievers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. Maury at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, helping everyone have more clarity, less stress, and overall better brain health. Priya at Pivot My Profit, helping individuals and businesses have better control of their finances and more money at the end of their day. Melissa at the Soul Vibe Energy High, the queen of the aha moments, helping individuals find those holes in their cups, repair the hole, and gain back their positive energy. And finally, Rick at West Sound Recording. You talk, they do all the rest. Thank you, Rick, for all your efforts with the production and editing of my podcast.